Okay, today we're going to set up Azure VPN client. We got a route group and a VNet, and we're going to look at our address space and our subnets, and we are going to, we have a gateway subnet already. Overview, and this is in North Central US. Okay. So what we're going to do then is set up a virtual network gateway. We're going to create it. We're going to call it Virtual Network Gateway VNet 1, Route Group 1, North Central US. We're going to do a VPN. We're going to do the cheapest thing possible. That's all we need. And we can see, because we already had our VNet subnet, we can add it right there. It's going to use our gateway subnet automatically. We are not going to have active mode. We're just going to have one, and we're going to name this public IP virtual network gateway 1, and then we're going to hit next, and then review and create. And as we know, virtual network gateways take about half hour to deploy. While we're waiting for that, we're going to jump over to Microsoft Entra ID. Oh, sorry about that. We are going to hit create first. Wait for that to get submitted, and then we're going to jump over to Microsoft Entra ID. Now, we need to create a user that has the cloud application administrator role so that they can register the VPN client. So we're going to do that. Even though I have one, we're going to do that. Go back to users. We're going to add a new user, create new user. We're going to call it dtamron3. And we're not going to do that. We're going to make a password. I'm going to hit next. We're just going to skip all this stuff for now. We're going to add a role. It's going to be the cloud application administrator role. Select that, and we're going to hit review and create. And create. Okay, so back on users, we're going to see that dtamron3 is right here. If we want to check, make sure we got the correct role, we have cloud application administrator. And there is a couple things that we need to collect to configure the VPN client. And if we go over to this web page, which I'll put the link in the description, we will pick that I'm coming from public cloud, or I'm not Azure government or Germany or anything else. Put this URL in our browser using the user account. We're going to go back here. We're going to copy that to the clipboard. We're going to sign in as the user we just created. Sign in. It's going to make us update our password. We're going to hit next. It's going to let me log in using MFA. Now I'm going to say, okay, accept Azure VPN. I'm going to jump in there as dTambrin3, and it's logged in. So now it should work. Gonna sign out for now. Go back over to our other account. And we are still waiting on the deployment of the VPN gateway. And I will come back when that is done. Okay, while we're waiting for the virtual network gateway to deploy, still there's some things that we need to collect. We need our tenant ID, which you can get from just going to tenant properties. So we're going to get that. We're going to store that in a notepad here like that. And then on that link that is in the description from where we were before, you slide down and there's 3 things that you need to get when we set up our virtual network gateway. To use the VPN client, you're going to need this URL with your tenant ID at the end. That's why we copied it. So you're going to need this. And this will be our tenant. Then there's going to be our audience and our issuer. Audience is always the same. I'm going to grab this. And then our issuer, I'm going to grab this URL. And be careful here because this URL has a slash at the end where the one at the top here does not. Just keep that in mind. And then we're going to put our tenant ID right in here. So now we have everything we're going to need to set up the virtual network gateway for a VPN client when it is done deploying. Oh, also, you can download the VPN client from the Microsoft store. It's free. Just go there and search for it. Okay, so our virtual network gateway is deployed, but before we do that, we're going to go to we're going to actually deploy a quick virtual machine so we have something to ping when we get this all up and running. So we're going to put in resource group 1, we'll just call it VM1, North Central, blah, 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 smallest thing we can make. We'll generate a new key pair, new key 1, no ports, SSH, don't need to change anything in disks. It's going to be going our virtual network, don't need to change anything there. We do not need a public IP, none. So we're going to change that to none. Management, nothing. Advanced, nothing. Next. Going to hit review and create. Create. While that's download our key. Turn, and while that is creating, we're going to go to our virtual network gateway, which was deployed. Here's our public IP address. We're just going to capture that in case we need it. Put that there. We're going to go to our point to site configuration, and we're going to configure it now. Now, first thing you're going to do is make up an IP address pool that neither your Azure environment or your lab or corporate environment is being used, and preferably private, and that's what I'm going to choose. Now there's a whole bunch of different tunnel types you can choose, but we're going to go with Open VPN SSL because it's the most used and I think easiest to put up. We're going to, in authentication types, we are going to use Azure Active Directory, which actually should say Azure Entra, but apparently they haven't updated it. Just going to click that, and now we're going to go back to our notepad and enter the things that we captured. So we're going to have tenant, we're going to have audience, and we're going to have the issuer. Remember, on the issuer there is a slash at the end. Don't forget that. If you have any additional routes in Azure that you want to advertise, maybe in a virtual network that has a connection to this virtual network that this virtual network gateway is on, maybe you want to put that in or something like that. As default, it is just going to advertise the routes that are in the virtual network that the virtual network gateway is on. So we're not going to add anything there. And then we're going to save this. While we wait, we're going to open up a new tab. And we're going to get the IP off our virtual machine that got deployed, just so we know what to ping later. 10.0.0.4. Okay, that's done saving. Next thing we want to do is download this VPN client from here, because it is going to have the configuration in it that we need. There it goes. We're going to open that up. We want Azure VPN. We're going to bring up our Azure client, and we're going to hit this, and we're going to import that file. But I guess we are going to take it and drop it on my desktop, and we're going to import it from there. Now it automatically loads all this nice stuff here. We're going to hit save so that we didn't have to do it, and then we're going to hit connect and see if it works. We're going to use a different account, that is for sure. Going to hit continue. Try my normal account. Now that it is logged in, so we're going to bring up my PowerShell window that I have open here. We're going to do ipconfig, see that the Azure client gave me an IP. We're going to ping the VM that we made and see that we have connectivity. And there you have it. The Azure VPN client set up and ready to go.